Hello. My name is Rayleigh Sweet. I use they, them pronouns, and I make videos all about my cozy hobbies like crochet and sewing, and about all other kinds of things like activism and witchcraft and poetry. So if you like any of those things, follow along. I'd love to have you here. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about mental health. I don't wear makeup like super often, but I thought it would be fun and more comfy for me to talk about mental health while I'm doing my makeup. So that's what we're going to be doing today. My family does have like a history of mental health. I won't get into any specifics or anything, but bipolar 2 and anxiety and depression and OCD all run in my family. So that is something that I have a lot of experience with, and kind of sets the foundation for all of my mental health stuff, journey, experiences, etc. Growing up, like elementary school, I was bullied a little bit. I wouldn't say anything like too crazy, but just the usual bullying. And so I actually started going to therapy pretty young. Like I started going in third grade for bullying. Yeah, and I really don't remember much from that, just that we played pickup sticks and talked about the bullying that I was experiencing. And then in high school, I moved halfway through high school, so I did start developing a bit of anxiety, especially around like social anxiety and friendships, and started seeing a therapist then. And I was having OCD symptoms, and so I was in therapy for that as well. I think a big part of that was that I pick the skin around my fingernails, and that developed probably in middle school. So I think that's a symptom of OCD among other things. So that was a big part of going to therapy. But also during high school, I was experiencing a bit of trauma. Story for another time. And that was developing even more OCD symptoms and anxiety and PTSD. So, I wasn't aware of those things in high school. I have no idea if my therapist was aware. I feel like she probably was, but she just didn't want to like say anything and be like, "Hey, you are experiencing trauma right now, actively." And then I went on to college and started experiencing more and more of my PTSD symptoms, and finally was able to recognize it as PTSD. But I had a really hard time finding a therapist, getting scheduled with a therapist. A big part of that was on me because I was in college and I was busy and I wanted to do all these other things, and I was sleeping in and I was learning how to be an adult for the first time and kept missing therapy appointments. So I didn't really like see a therapist in college. I saw the school counselor once, had an hour-long session, told her about my trauma, told her I was diagnosed with OCD, and she said, I don't think that's OCD. I think that you have trauma-induced OCD and PTSD. I'm like, great. What the heck does that mean? And then that was it. And I saw another therapist like a couple times in college, and then he ghosted me after going on vacation. And I didn't reach out because I was in college and I didn't realize I was supposed to reach out. I was waiting for him. So, anyway. And then after college, well, end of college, COVID hits. And I went through a lot, as we all did. And I was really like in a good place with my PTSD, like feeling like I had kind of not moved on from it. I mean, PTSD is kind of a forever thing, but it went mostly dormant, or like the symptoms weren't as bad. So I was feeling good about that. But then everything happened with COVID and all of the other personal trauma that comes with that. And I developed a really heavy anxiety and like especially social anxiety, because a lot of my trauma was around friendships, and also just like really sensitive, like really easy to cry. I cried a lot. Was experiencing really intense mood swings very quickly throughout the day. So that was really jarring. And I finally found a therapist during that time that I really, really liked. And she got me on Lexapro for anxiety, and that helped a lot. And I'm still on Lexapro to this day. Although they say that Lexapro doesn't really have the same effect over time, so I might be weaning off of it soon. We're not sure. We're gonna test it out because also Lexapro is supposed to be good for skin picking, which I do. It hasn't really helped, but I don't know. So I was talking with my therapist and my primary care doctor about the mood swings I was experiencing because they were mostly around my period. So I was diagnosed with PMDD at the time, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which means it's PMSing on steroids. Basically, PMSing. A lot of people have it different, obviously. PMSing or PMDD can look like really, really bad cramps or really, really heavy flow or really, really intense mood swings, which is what I was having. I really don't experience cramps. Hi, honey. I really don't experience cramps that much. Excuse me. Yeah, so I was pretty much experiencing just oh my gosh. I don't get a lot of cramps, thankfully, but I was experiencing really intense mood swings around my period. So got on birth control as well. So birth control and Lexapro, kind of combining that to help regulate everything. But then just I was going through a lot of life changes and was experiencing even more intense mood swings to the point where I was freaking out a little. I was like, this is way too much. So just to give an example or more insight into what that was like for me, I would have these experiences of what I now know as hypomanic, which is a manic episode, but a lesser form of mania for bipolar 2 folks. And I would just have these super high highs where I felt like I was on top of the world. I could do anything. I had a really massive ego. But it also was really intense and overwhelming a lot of the time, to the point where I felt like there was electricity running through my veins or molasses running through my veins. I felt it very physically. And I would have so many ideas running through my head of things I wanted to do that my mind would just be racing 100 miles an hour. And it would be paralyzing, to the point where I would kind of shut down and freeze and feel like I couldn't even move my body. It felt like that, which is not great when you're having all these ideas and wanting to do a lot. So that was kind of the highs. But then the lows were also very low. And my lows would really look like a existential spiral. Really, really deep existential dread and depression and feeling frozen. I couldn't move again. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I didn't want to be here, kind of thing. So that was, it was really scary. It was really scary. And especially because I've had experience with family members with depression, and I knew I never wanted to go through that, and I never wanted to put other people through that. And I knew it wasn't me, and it wasn't actual feelings that I was having, that it was just something wrong with my brain. And so I knew I needed to get that fixed. And I was like, okay, well, I'm already on Lexapro, so what's going on? And then I saw Anthony Padilla's video with bipolar folks, and it was just this huge aha moment where I was like, oh, I was crying watching it, and I was like, oh, that's what I'm feeling. And so I started asking my psychiatrist, my therapist, if I have bipolar. And their responses were like kind of weird. Like they were kind of like, no, you're not bipolar because you sleep well, or you're not bipolar because you don't think you're a god when you're manic. Like that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, I guess. But then the mood swings just kept getting worse and worse and more intense to the point where I was like, I told my psychiatrist, which I think I had gotten a new one. I'd been through like 3 or 4 psychiatrists within the last 5 years because they keep like leaving the practice or whatever. So I got a new one and I was like, I need medication with these mood swings. I'm scared. And he said, okay, I'll start you on Lamictal, which is for bipolar disorder and for seizures. And it helped. And I was so relieved. And then I got a new psychiatrist and she walked through like bipolar tests and was like, yeah, you have bipolar too. So yeah, those other psychiatrists and therapists, yeah, they probably didn't think you have bipolar 1, but this is looking more like bipolar 2, which runs in my family. So I was like, cool, thanks. But I'm really, really glad I have the diagnosis finally, because it validates everything I've been feeling for the last couple years. It makes so much more sense of how I was feeling in college, because in college I experienced some really like manic episodes. And so I just feel so relieved that I have an answer and that I know how to navigate it. So that's what I'm going to get into next, is how I have been navigating my mental health issues. Before I move on, I do want to talk about like okay, I'm on meds and like it's not gone away. Like I still have mental illness and bipolar still affects me. I'm on the highest dose of Lamictal for bipolar 2 and the lowest dose for bipolar 1, which is 100 milligrams. And it feels like a good dose. Like it feels manageable and it hasn't like taken away from my personality, my life. Like I still feel like I'm me, but it's not as intense of bipolar. But I do experience the symptoms, so I want to talk about that. I still get lots of motivation. I still get a lot of ideas. It can be kind of overwhelming, but it's not as paralyzing as it used to be. It doesn't feel like electricity in my veins as much as it used to. It just feels more manageable. And with that and therapy and learning more about myself, I've found ways to like mitigate the symptoms and like the risks that come with it. And then my depressive episodes really, like, I think healing a lot of my trauma and going to therapy and the Lexapro and Lamictal, I really just get sleepy. I'm already like a really chronically sleepy person. I think it's because of my anemia, and maybe like long form COVID, who knows? But I do get very sleepy to the point where when I'm crashing from bipolar, when I'm crashing from bipolar, I can sleep for 14 to 18 hours within a 24-hour period. I can, and I have, and I will. And that's like not fun. Like I hate being sleepy. I hate wasting days, but it's just what my body needs and I'm used to it. This is what I do for my makeup normally, but maybe I'll do a little lip since we're here. Okay, so one of the biggest indicators that I am experiencing hypomania is that I really want to spend money, and money that I don't have. So my boyfriend has actually been, this looks ridiculous. My boyfriend has been incredibly helpful with this one, because when I notice it, I'm like, oh, why do I want to spend money for no reason? And so I tell my boyfriend, I'm like, hey, I'm manic. I want to spend money. And I'm not going to. And so I avoid going to the store. I avoid going anywhere where I can spend money. And if I feel the impulse to buy something, I really have to sit on it and think about it. And then I will ask my boyfriend, I'm like, hey, this is the impulse manic buy that I want to do. Is it reasonable? Should I hold off on it? And they're really good about like helping me figure out whether or not it's like an okay purchase. So that has been really helpful. Okay, obviously I can't do this and talk, so I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Side note, I've always hated lipstick. It makes me feel the most dysphoric, but if I'm gonna do a lip, I'm gonna do it brown. And I'm kind of feeling it right now. Honestly, I feel like the lipstick with the like camo is giving gender, and I'm not mad about it. Okay, moving on. Okay, the big thing with my when I'm manic is I want to work on so many projects. I have so many ideas, and that's awesome and so much fun. But it does become really consuming, and I kind of don't leave room for anything else. So I try to set limits for myself. I try to make sure that I stop my projects well before my bedtime. It doesn't always happen, but that's the idea, is if I stop doing a project like crochet or sewing like an hour before bed, then I'm not like thinking about it going to bed. I also recently started setting an alarm to remind myself to eat if I notice that, like, oh, I'm getting really invested in this project and I'm kind of getting hungry, but I'm not ready to stop yet. And so in an hour, I need to stop no matter what and get food. And that was really good for me. That helped. Something that I've done my entire life, because I think I've always been like this, is whenever I have like a ton of ideas, I just write a list. I write down all of my ideas. And then if it's like a big idea that is going to take a lot of like investment over time, I have to wait on it. I have to like sit on it, because if I commit to something that's going to take a lot of time and then I crash, like that sucks. And it happens a lot. And it's really frustrating. I feel so bad when I like fall off on projects that I'm working with other people and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do this thing. And then all of a sudden I am like, I can't anymore because I am sleeping all day. It's really rough. So it's better to just hold off on starting big projects as much as I can and sleep on it for a couple days, see if I actually have the time and energy over a long period of time to commit to something. That's kind of the goal. So that's pretty much like what I've been doing for bipolar. Obviously, the other thing that I mentioned a lot was social anxiety, and I am, knock on wood, feeling so much better about my social anxiety right now. Um, it was really, really bad earlier this year and every year before that since COVID. But I think I've figured out, like, through therapy and a lot of self healing, I've really figured out what I need. I realized a big like pivotal moment for me was finding people that don't give me social anxiety. So it was really just like the people I was surrounding myself with, where I was like, I don't know how this person feels about me. I don't know where we stand in our friendship, and that was causing me a lot of anxiety. And obviously you can communicate with those people and ask, like that's important. But I also just found people where I was like getting the same energy reciprocated that I was giving. And I was like, oh, this is what I need in friends. So that's been really helpful. And I'm really, really like grateful for those friends and that I was able to find that finally after so many years of like not getting the same energy reciprocated. Um, that's been really nice. And then beyond that, just like trusting what people say and what they like, how they show you how they feel, whether it's good or bad, like just trusting it. So if they say like, yeah, I want to hang out, and then they don't hit you up, like trust that they still want to hang out and you hit them up. But if they show you over time that they are not going to hang out with you, even though they keep saying they're going to hang out with you, then take them at that and move on. Like that's kind of it. And it might not even be about you. That's another thing I've really learned, is like people deal with shit. They go through their own lives. Like if I'm hitting my like post manic crash, I cannot reach out to anybody. I can't respond, and like I have to have that same like grace that I would want from other people. So that's been a really great like learning curve. Also trusting myself and knowing that I'm a lovable person. And that sounds silly, but it's really not, because that was really hard for me to like learn and accept about myself. And in the same breath, not everyone has to like me. Just because people don't like me doesn't mean that I'm not a likable person. That's also a really hard one to learn, and it's really hard to like it's that one's hard to process, and like two things can be true at once. And then two more big parts of like what has healed my social anxiety are things that I think kind of come to you as you get older, at least as I was getting older. I'm 26 now, and I'm learning the hard way that adult friendships look very different than high school friendships, than the type of friendships that you see online, that you see on TV shows. I'm always comparing myself to other people and their friends and how they look like they're hanging out all the time and going on trips together, and I get so jealous. But me and my friends, we all work. We work. Some of my friends work multiple jobs. Some of my friends have families. Like, it is so much harder to find time for each other, but we still care for each other. And so just like remembering that, and just kind of getting comfortable with being alone, getting comfortable with seeing your friends further apart, like different, spacing it out, like you won't see your best friend for a month or two, and that's okay. And then the other thing is deepening my relationship with my family, and they've always been my best friends. Like my parents and my sister and my cousin, they're all like my best friends. But especially like as I'm getting older and friendships are harder, my family is my rock, and I love them so, so much, and I love getting to play Magic with them, and D&D and all of the things, and my boyfriend's family, and getting to like build that relationship with them has just been so lovely. So really, really grateful for those relationships, because those are my besties. Okay, we forgot the finishing touch. My little hair clips, because I've got my shaved sides, and you gotta show it off and let everyone know you're gay. So, but yeah, that's pretty much me. That's my mental health journey. Thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate it. It feels weird sharing it, but videos like this is what really got me through a lot of my mental health struggles, and I'm really, really grateful. I never thought that I would be on the other side of things, where I'm feeling like stable and like I can manage my everything. So I just thought I would share and let you know that it gets better. Yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Stay tuned for more little videos. Let me know what else I should talk about and share. And yeah, see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.